What is that?
The guy who uploaded this video said it was from a tape he found in the Black Hills woods.
Do you believe in the stories about the Blair Witch? Oh my God.
Welcome to The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. This is the movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview and an actor or someone involved that made the film worth watching. And the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Really hope you enjoyed last week's interview, which was so interesting because when we have somebody that they do so much, I had to put filmmaker as a title because obviously he writes, produces, camera operator. He did the 3D, a lot of the 3D stuff for James Cameron on the new Avatar movie and a bunch of movies in the late 2000s. And great guy to talk to, Nathan Haugard. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure you go back because he goes so in depth about the way 3D should be filmed and why it didn't look good, because he's basically like James Cameron was putting together, splicing two cameras together that are like I forget what the ridiculous amount of money they were, but really cool. Lots of insight, lots of behind the scenes to actually what goes into setting up a shot. And what was pretty cool was a seminal moment in his childhood was him and his buddies seeing the Blair Witch Project and thinking, hey, I have that camera at home. We can film horror movies. And he started doing that. And then flash forward 17 years later, he's doing the camera testing for this movie. So he really knows his cameras well. And the sequel we're going to cover, Blair Witch 2016. I didn't even know this movie came out, so this would be pretty interesting to talk with Jamie because I know he didn't watch it. But before I say anything more about this witch that, I don't know, is it really a witch? Because when you see it, it's not a witch that we know, the traditional witches. But I got to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how are you?
I'm doing okay, Doug. How are you doing?
Good. I was so excited. I swallowed my words while I spoke. And
I can hear that.
Pretty good.
I got to be honest with you. I am very glad that he decided not to make this movie a 3D movie. Because I really, again, I don't like to be negative on people that give us their time to. Well, I didn't say I'm not negative. I said I don't like to be negative. Okay. But because they give us a time and there's some of their work, but this movie, I was not a fan. I don't think that's going to come as a surprise.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say that Nathan, because he just did the camera testing for it. One thing that I think is really cool, and I think you never do this when we watch movies, like there's so many times we watch sequels and we text each other during the review, be like, dude, did you see who was in this? And he's like, guy number 7. Or when we saw the one guy in Death Wish 4 that ended up being on Prison Break and he was on Dexter. People have to start somewhere, but we never do that for directors. So this director, it's pretty mind-blowing. This movie had, what would you guess in the millions his budget was?
$5 million.
Nailed it. Whoa. Dun, 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 dun. What if I paid somebody that was in your basement right now and they just gave you a prize?
I would love it.
Pretty good.
Can I guess what they grossed? What it grossed?
Oh, you know what? Let's let me look that up.
I mean, I feel like I'm on a roll now, so I want to give it a shot.
Wait, let's see. Wow, this would be, if you nail this. Oh, wow. Okay, go. I want to see what you're going to.
Oh, well, you just ruined it. So now that you said, oh, wow, I would have said like 15 million, but now I'm going to say about 35.
Oh, no, it was higher than that. Box office, 45 million.
All right, I was close. I can't believe it, but listen, the 45 million is probably for the people that, again, like the first Blair Witch, which I thought it was horrendous. And I'm going to give, the reason why I didn't like the first, I know the big hype and everything else, and maybe if I watched it before I knew it was fake, then maybe I would have appreciated it more. But, when it's not a real, found video, which most people who saw it the first time didn't know, the movie's horrible. The first movie's horrible. So this movie, to me, is it's almost like the exact same movie as the first movie. It seems very similar. Just
it looks better. And another thing about movies,
hold on. It looks better. What looks better? Right? It doesn't really look much better. You still get the same headache of a bouncing camera. You still have the annoying characters. The only thing that's I think different is there's time jumps in this movie.
Oh, dude, there's a lot that we have to talk about. No, the time jump thing we have to talk about for some characters, and then also one part of the movie, and it's pretty early, so I know like we tried to like hold our tongue as long as we could when we were talking Blood Fist 5, which might be the most cleverest script ever written or the worst script ever written. I don't know, but this one has something very early on that we'll be able to get to. But yeah, there's a ton to talk about. So Adam Wingard, just so I don't forget. So before this, he did You're Next. That was a really great horror movie. Barbara Crampton. If you haven't seen it, it's a great slasher.
Is that where they wear the masks? Like the animal masks?
Yeah.
I saw that one actually.
So then he did a movie called VHS. He did one of the segments in that, VHS 2. He directed The Guest, which if you haven't seen that, amazing movie. Dude, it's so badass. Action-wise, over the top.
Is that the one with John Leguizamo? Oh no, that's the
no.
Pest.
No, that's the best. That's the best. And it's not the house guest. No, it's not that one. No,
Wait,
it's
yeah. Wait, wasn't that Queen Latifah? House guest?
Yeah, Queen Latifah and Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Oh, wait. Is that the house guest? Or is that Sinbad and
Sinbad? It's either Sinbad. I know.
Phil Hartman.
Very close. All right, so wait, what's the guest then? I never even heard of that.
So this guy Dan Stevens, Lance Reddick's in it. It's really good. You'll like it. It's this most badass action movie where the main guy that you're following is the killer. Who's a really bad guy, but he's very like charming. You gotta watch it. It's always on Netflix.
Did you just spoil it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you just said he's the killer. I mean, sometimes you don't find out who the
you
killer is.
Well, you know right away.
No.
You know, you see him shoot people in the head like within minutes. It's one of those over the top. You can't. It's like shoot 'em up. There's like scenes in the movie. Yeah, it's a wild movie. It doesn't change anything, and good background actors. Yeah. So so that movie's good. So I'm like, wow. Then he does this movie, and then he does a movie called Death Note. Never heard of it, but
I've heard of that one.
Dude,
I've heard of that one.
How does he jump from these budgets to Godzilla vs. Kong?
Versus who? Oh,
Godzilla vs. Kong, the one that just came out.
He directed that movie?
Yep.
Wow. Maybe someone owed him a favor.
Or just like visually, when you watch you've seen Your Next, but like if you see that one again and you see The Guest, you'll be like, I could see it. And he did so well that he's doing Godzilla vs. Kong, the new Empire that comes out next year.
I'm just surprised that after this movie, like someone gave him a job. I mean, listen, this is the kind of movie that it shows you that really anyone can be an actor. There's not a lot of
all the actors in this movie that you're talking about. All the actors except James.
You could call them actors. I mean, I don't know if they really are, but
Brandon Scott is a really good actor. He was on Dead to Me the last few seasons. He's on another big show. Callie Hernandez, look at her IMDb. Lisa, she's in a ton of stuff. And then Valerie Curry, she was on The Following, and she was also on The Tick. So these people, it's so weird when you see some of these movies, you're like, but they're like in other things.
Was this in the middle or the beginning of their career?
For Valerie, this was after The Following.
See, I feel like they're like, again, this is a movie they're obviously trying to sell it on the name, and it's going to have a certain following because people just like these. One, I think the two things. One, obviously, there's a following for the Blair Witch because there's two of them and people like that. And then two, I think there's a few movies that have that found footage kind of story.
There's a ton. The Ring,
right? Right. So I think people like that, and I think that's part of the reason why, again, maybe listen, if it made 45 out of 5 million, it's pretty good.
That's amazing.
So, right. So I think that's what it is. But outside of that grouping that likes Blair Witch and found footage, the movie's awful. I mean, I don't know. Like there's not a lot. I could see why it's only 5 million. There's not a lot of scenery. It takes place in the woods.
No. Six actors.
Six actors.
Most of the cameras are POV that they actually have on the actor, and then obviously there are cameramen there too. But
wait, there was one special effects gross scene.
Oh, dude, I know. Yeah. Great.
Okay. So I mean, but outside of that, I mean, again, it's just it seems low budget, and obviously that's the look they're going for because they're trying to mimic the first movie. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I didn't think it was scary at all. And again,
I
don't
jumped
like scary.
I jumped a few times, and I can tell you because I was watching it last night at like 10 o'clock, and then I had to take my dogs out. And it's very quiet where I live, and I heard a sound, and I ran inside.
Okay. Wait. So you jumped not from the movie, from just being away from?
I jumped in the movie. Oh no,
Oh.
there's definitely 2 jump scares in this movie.
Okay, I see. I didn't find anything scary. However, that's what you just described is my point about these movies. So you go outside and you hear noise, you get nervous. I go in my basement, I shut the light off, I'm running upstairs. These people are in the middle of the woods, and some of the things they hear, see, or whatever, and they're okay with it. Like, no way. No, there is nobody. Some of the things that go on in this movie that when they realize that what's going on, that they don't stay there. They're like, let's leave, and like I said, I get nervous in my basement when I shut the light off. There's no way these people are staying in the woods.
Yeah, no. So let's jump right into it. And you know what?
Okay.
I'm sure a lot of people have seen this or obviously know the story behind it. So like, what? One thing I never knew, Heather from the original movie, that's her real name. So the actress really, maybe all the actors did that in the original movie.
I think
maybe that's why
so.
it seemed real.
Well, I think that's what it was. I think they used their real names in the first movie. Heather used the real snot in that scene when she was like, had the close up on the camera. Yeah. And that's what it is. They try to make it as real
She's
as
like,
possible.
I don't need your Hollywood snot.
Well, with the budget they had, they couldn't afford Hollywood.
They couldn't afford $5.
But that's what it was, and that's why the first one did so well. Is because they had the real names. They had the like the found footage. People thought it was real. They had I remember it. Like I think they did a lot of promotion on the website, like online.
Oh
and it was
yeah,
like
dude, and that was like the beginning of the internet,
yeah.
sort of. Yeah.
So I saw it afterwards, and when I knew it was all fake, and then when you go back and watch it, it's awful because like really, the first movie, nothing happens. There's no explanation, and really nothing happens. It's just panic on their faces throughout the whole movie because you don't see anything. This movie again. I feel like it drags along in the beginning a little bit. And then it just like, I don't know. This one is very weird compared to the first one, I think.
No, definitely is. How about the first movie? What do you think that made worldwide?
Well, I gotta assume I would almost think the budget for the first movie is under $1 million.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I can look that up, but
yeah, I mean, I would be
sure
curious what that
budget
is. But the first movie, just because I know it was such a huge, massive hit, I don't want to say 100,000, but 80, 70.
Oh no, it made the budget for some reason I don't know the real number. It's $200,000 to $750,000. Box office $250 million.
Wow.
Oh my god! If these people were smart, like they have like they have studios that are attached to it, but not big names who distribute it. I really hope those people got a good chunk of that because that's unbelievable, man.
You know what? I don't know, because you think about it this way, the people that started it, I don't know if they really started anything else after that. Like they were like kind of like unknowns, and there's no way they thought they were making $200 million. So my guess is they didn't sign a good contract to be in a movie. They were just happy to get their face.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah, the directors and the writers, it's this guy Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez. They wrote and directed it. So, but did they cash in on that? Nah.
I don't know. Like I said, I can almost bet you they probably didn't make a lot of money.
They wrote TV shows. They wrote Yellow Jackets, FBI.
Okay.
Nancy Drew. So they wrote on a bunch of stuff, which is good.
Yeah, but the actors.
Oh, I don't think they did anything. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, and again, when you're like into like an independent movie like that, you're not making a lot of money. You're just happy to be in the movie. I mean, listen, if someone came up to us and said, "Hey, let's be in a movie," I don't even care if they paid me. I'd be in it.
Totally.
Yeah. So I think that's very similar. And again, can you imagine like not signing like a big contract and then seeing that it makes $200 million?
I know.
Like. Yeah, so
just pay the actors, people. But so let's get into it, and then we'll get right into that first scene, because this is the big question I had. There's a few the time jumps like you mentioned, but the biggest question in this whole movie to me is, So he goes on YouTube. Okay. So James in this, I don't know what Heather was in the first one. I'm guessing she was like 18 or 19 when she went missing. That makes sense.
Before you go for okay, so do we know how long she's been missing?
Well, yeah, I think it's actual time frame because James was 4, her brother, who's like the main character in the movie. He was 4 years old at the time. And Peter was obviously a little bit older because he helped in the searches, which we find out later in the movie for the sister.
Wait. He was 4 when she went missing?
Yeah.
So and how old is he now, you think?
I'm thinking actual timeline wise, 17 years later, because the original one she went missing in 99. That was part of the whole.
So he waited 14 years to look for her, and he thinks that she's still in the woods.
Yeah. So 14, 17 years, and he finds a video.
Well, if she was
online.
4 and you said she's 17, it's 14 years. Or 18 years.
17 years. What are you talking about?
Right, 17 years. You said 17 years.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Yeah.
He's 17 years
17
old.
years later, yeah.
Oh, I think
So
he's
he's
17
21.
years old.
No.
Oh, okay. So we're on different pages. Okay. So he waited. Okay, so he waited 17 years, and then he thinks that for 17 years she's living in the woods.
Dude, I that is crazy, and also that he somehow set up tags on YouTube. I guess that's the thing. You could set up search things, so and that pinged that video. So, yeah.
Okay, so wait. So it pinged the video from the first movie.
No. That's not a video from the first movie. That's supposed to be like now. So remember the whole story that Lane told
so
them?
that's where the okay. So what he thought was a sister in that video.
Okay, so let's talk about it now because
We have to.
The thing that makes zero sense to me is Lane basically says, I found this video, so I put it online. He's like contacting with James. They meet. But then later in the movie, when he gets caught making the Blair Witch, what do you call like symbol? Like
the symbols.
Yeah. The Blair Witch symbol. He gets caught doing that. He basically says he manufactured everything. So he made that video and had somebody look like Heather.
But no, because that video is exactly what happens at the end of the movie.
I know,
so he didn't manufacturing that video. He manufactured.
So did the Blair Witch. So I don't understand it because he made it. See, he goes, I found the cartridge right here. This is where I found it, and then I uploaded it online. But then he admits to he doesn't really say he doctored a video or made a video. They just said, "Oh my god, this whole thing's all made up." And he goes, "No, we just didn't want to do this alone." Because that's when he admits, "Oh, we've never been here."
Well, but maybe he never found it. Maybe he wasn't the one that found it. He just wanted to tag along and just be,
But James contacted the account. He contacted the account that uploaded
but maybe
the
he
video.
could have lied. He could have lied. Okay, first of all, in the video, when he pauses it and he says, "It looks like my sister," it looks nothing like the girl from the first movie.
No, I know.
Nothing at all. Not even close.
She would be a lot older, or he
that's the
believes
thing.
that in this world that she froze in time at the age of 18.
See, I thought he thought it was the video from when she first went out there. That's what I thought.
Because everybody's seen that. Like that in the lore, I think that first movie
I know, but
really was released.
I think he was studying that video and thinking, wait, and he paused it, and that's what I thought. I mean, again,
that makes sense because there is a house at the end of the movie. I don't know if it looks exactly the same. Maybe I'm guessing it does.
The hallways look very similar. I mean,
Yeah.
it does look. But again, why is there a time jump? Because listen, we have to talk about it now. That's exactly what he's watching. Is what they eventually go to, and do.
Yeah.
So how's he watching it?
Sure.
So is like, does the witch have powers to like? So wait a second. Okay, let's because I mean we do a lot of movies that have these kind of time jumps. So he's watching a video that hasn't happened yet, but that they eventually do. That's on camera. First of all, who's filming it? Like the film they find, like that doesn't make sense here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know how it got out there. That's why for a second I thought somehow Lane manufactured the video, because they said you made this whole thing up, and he said, "Yeah, because we just didn't want to do this alone." And I'm like, so he somehow made that video? Because I know it looks exactly like the house at the end. I get that. So I was thinking,
No, but that's
I
the
don't
girl
know,
in the group. That's the girl in the group in the mirror. That's her.
in the video from the beginning.
Yes.
That's Lisa.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm almost positive. Listen, I could be
shit.
wrong, but it looks like her.
That makes sense.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's where the time jumping is he's watching what's eventually going to happen. Isn't that okay? Again,
It makes no sense. Yeah.
okay, maybe I'm diving into it, and maybe I'm completely wrong. And maybe it is. I don't think it's a manufacturing video. I think that's because it looks too real, and the house looks exactly like the house they're in at the end of the movie. So,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. I thought there was some kind of time jump or something that they're watching the video that they're eventually going to go through themselves.
It's like they're dead. It's like they're in that whatever space or world that they go into, and it's like it's like a circuit. It's like they relived it.
But that's what I mean.
Or
So, like,
something, you know?
is in this scenario, does this just keep happening? Like, so every time they watch in a video, they find a video, it's themselves, but somehow it gets back to them, and they're watching the same video again, and they keep going back out there.
You know what? That makes the most sense to me, because now that you say it, it does look like that girl Lisa.
Yes,
It looks
Okay,
just like her.
The loop makes sense, but why is there a loop?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Because so we can agree that the loop makes sense. So the time jump does make sense, but why the fact that there is a time jump makes no sense.
Yeah, why would there be even one loop? So, yeah, if there was a different way they stumbled across the video on YouTube, I get using
Right.
technology and doing that. If there was something that we saw of them in the woods, like say if they went out to the woods and then maybe they saw that river, and then maybe something, they got nervous, then they go back the next day, then the video emerges, and then he contacts the guy. Then in my head I'd be like, you know what? When they went out there, then the Blair Witch somehow took a hold on them. Maybe something like that. But the fact that they were in a video before they were even ever out there.
Correct.
Peter was
Correct.
the only one that was ever out in those woods. Like,
Correct.
James never went out there. So for it to happen to James, I don't know. Yeah.
But and again, how dumb is this guy that he thinks that, you know what, my sister's still out there?
Oh, I know.
What, living in the woods? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like it.
Living off
And
what?
again, does he think that's a video of her today, or does he think that's a video of her in the past? Because she didn't age.
Yeah, no, I know. I think he thinks it's closer to today.
Which
I don't
makes
know,
no sense
like-
because it's 17 years later.
Yeah, no, I know. She would obviously age, she would look older.
She would be almost 40. I mean,
Yeah.
like, or she might have been 40. I mean, like in the first movie, she could have been 20 years old. So, like, again,
Yeah.
that part
James
does
is
not
definitely
make
an accident. James is an accident. 16 years later.
Ugh. Okay. All right. Well, whatever. Yeah. All right. And listen, we talked about this witch a few times. Is it really a witch, or is it like an alien? Because
It
it looks
looks
like an
more
alien.
like Slender Man. Like what they
It
say
does look like
Slender
Slender
Man
Man.
looks like. Like that's
It
what it
does.
looks like to me. Yeah. So let's go into.
Okay.
So we talked about that. We'll get more into the time jump when you get to that scene, but. So yeah. So James. Another thing that we have to talk about. So James wants to go into the woods. Lisa he's in the friend zone because I thought they were gonna hook up.
Oh,
There was that one time when she goes, "Can I stay in your tent?" I'm like, they're gonna hook up right now, and it's a weirdly awkward moment because it was after what's her name's foot had something coming out of it.
I was very confused at any of the relationships in there because I didn't know who's boyfriend and girlfriend with who, and then the one guy that was hitting on everybody that he was with the other girl later on. Like I just didn't understand the relationships with anybody there.
Oh, well, James was cuddling. Yeah, James, you're right. Yeah, James, when he jumped in the bed with Peter's
Yeah.
girlfriend, I forget her name. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is weird. They're drinking Johnny Red Label,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's jumping in the bed and cuddling with her. I'm like,
No, and again, you have and this is right after the girl cut her foot, which was pretty gross.
"Oh."
At that point, you don't take her out of there and you say, you know what, maybe we should come another day. Like you still
Yeah,
you
just
keep
go
going.
right back across the river. Yeah,
You really weren't that far. The girl could barely walk, and you like, you know what? Let's keep going. Like that made no sense. I mean,
So
and-
does the Blair
yeah.
Witch have? Blair Witch covers like a lot of acreage, because there's a one part when the kid Lane goes, which we didn't even describe that redneck when we get to him.
Oh,
But when he gets to one point, he goes, "Okay, we're crossing into the." Do you remember the name of the mountains? I forget what it was. It's like a very generic name, or it's probably we just lost every Virginia resident that listens to us because I just made fun of their mountains.
Wasn't there a movie called Escape from Witch Mountain?
Yeah, with The Rock, I think. Right?
Yeah. Well, that was actually a remake of a Disney movie from the 70s.
Yeah. No, I don't know whatever it was, but he says, "Oh, we just crossed into the Black Hill, or maybe the Black Hills or something." So I'm in my head. I'm like, wait, so something that she cut her foot. So was that like foot? Obviously, the witch didn't make her cut her foot. That just happened to happen.
But yeah, right. So, but the things that happened with her foot is obviously not something that would happen if you cut your foot on a rock.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know what? Again, and I know we talked about a time jump, but the redneck also has a time jump.
Oh, dude, he has two
so
of
like,
them.
Yeah, right. So like again, this like really there's no explanation at all about what goes on in this movie.
Yeah.
There's no explanation. It's basically like, let's just throw a lot of crap against the wall, and you know what? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I wish there was some kind of explanation, like it's not a witch, it's aliens or something. I would feel better. But this is the same witch from the first movie where there was no time jump, there was no like gross cuts or whatever, and really you saw her for two. I don't even know if you saw her in the first movie. It was like a quick little like thing at the end or something.
Yeah, but it is cool the callback that they do in this movie to the end of maybe it's something that people learn from to avoid the witch. So we'll get into that. But no, so the whole beginning of the movie, it's really them prepping to do this. You get like Peter and James, like they're really just, she's interviewing them. She's been friends for a while, but she even says like, I know I've been friends with you guys as long, like Lisa, who's like the narrator and directing the documentary. And she's like, hey, how long have you guys known each other? Do you remember when Heather went missing? So all this thing, they're drinking. One scene, they're playing video games. Then they're like at a nightclub dancing for a little bit.
and they have the cameras on. Like they have the cameras on the whole movie. Like like if they're the documentary that they're eventually doing is for the search for his sister. They have a video camera on while they're in the car, they're dancing, video games. Like, why are they filming everything?
Because they need filler. Because I don't know if they've really anticipated being out there that long. I don't know if I would. I don't know. Just the idea of they were so gung ho on this, and I think that Lisa is the character that really confuses me because she was pushing James. Because I think even at one point in that first opening scene before they actually like go to Lane or they actually start going into the woods, and he seems like he wants to like back out, and she is like so gung-ho. And then later in the movie I'm thinking like she's probably like, hey, if I survive this, it'd be like the greatest documentary ever, and she kind of like starts pussing out. Like it's kind of odd.
Yeah, but wouldn't you think they all right, we're not there yet, so let's just keep going. Because I have again, just like I said, when going in my basement, I get nervous. I mean, there's a part where all right, let's just go. Never mind.
Okay, so we just talked about them crawling into each other's beds, and then now James is like, hey, we're gonna meet up with this guy. He's gonna tell us exactly where it is. They go to Lane's house. Okay, so I love that.
Was that his sister or his girlfriend?
It's his girlfriend, Valerie Curley. Yeah, she plays the girlfriend.
Listen, I wouldn't be surprised if it's his sister girlfriend.
That is true. it could be that. But one of the funniest and best like directed lines in the movie and scenes, just the way the camera work was when they walked into the house and Peter and his girlfriend, sorry, I get her name. They're African American and they're looking around and they see the Confederate flag, and right at that time Lane utters the line, it's so nice to meet like-minded Blair Witch searchers. I'm like, oh really? Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Seeing where they live and how they live, I don't see them having internet.
That is true. They were in the middle of nowhere even at that point. But yeah, so Peter's girlfriend's Ashley, and so then they basically are like, yeah, we're not going to tell you where it is. Only if you let us tag along. And I'm like, oh my God. And in my head, honestly, I don't know if I would. Even at that point, I'd be scared enough to do what I'm doing. When two strangers wanted to come with me on a secluded mission in the woods, that's like that's a horror movie right there.
But see, that's the thing. They don't seem scared doing what they're doing, and that's the
scary part. That's
it really is.
That's the actual scary part of this movie. Yeah.
And again, like even later on, when they get scared and then they realize, oh, it was nothing. Okay. I gotta talk about it now because it's bothering me. So later on, when they get scared and then they find out that it really was nothing that they got scared at.
Oh yeah.
But the feeling they had when they thought it was something to be scared about, what do they think's gonna happen when they find the real thing? Like the minute they thought something was going on, they were ready to leave, and then they realized nothing happened, and then they keep going. So, like, if you were ready to leave when you thought you saw something, why are you looking for something that you know that when you see it, you're going to leave anyway?
Yeah, on one side of the coin, I totally agree. I'd be like, oh, I'm out of here. If I was scared of this thing that's fake, why am I going to be out there? Or
Right.
the other side, they're like, this is all fake. But then in the same sense, if James feels the way like, oh, maybe these people are making everything up. But then would I be like, but my sister's really not out here then. She maybe ran away and enjoyed the circus. Like, why would you can't have two things. You can't think it's fake and my sister's alive after 17 years.
Correct. And not for nothing, they don't know these two people. And especially when they find out that they made things up.
Oh.
How do they know that they didn't put them out there just so they can kill them all? Like it was
That's
all
true.
a plan to fake them out and then kill them. Because I would have put a
dangerous
game.
game. People could be hunting them right now,
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
and then Peter was ready to whoop their ass when he chased after him. And he swung at him. But so then they say, okay, well, you guys can come. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, strangers, gotta be easy, right? You gotta be really easy with them. What's he start doing? Peter starts making fun of his YouTube. He goes, oh, I watched your YouTube channel. Ooh,
Okay.
the one about the scary rocks. And I'm like,
He really is the biggest jerk, though. I mean,
he was
with the whole movie, he's just like he's that friend that like why is it? He's a sniffler. Like why is anyone friends with him?
Yeah.
But he hangs around with everybody because they seem like they all got annoyed with him continuously.
God, yeah, he was total dick. And again, you piss off the people you're with, and then you fall asleep, and then you don't wake up again because they're crazy rednecks that might want to be doing that. And then even at this point, James is like calming them down, and even Lisa, and I think even Peter agrees. Hey, you know what? These people, they've been here a lot. They know this place so well. So maybe that puts you at ease. Then when we find out, like, shit, they don't know this place at all, and I'd be so pissed off.
But see, okay, but they don't know this place at all. However, they were close enough to get to the house.
I don't think they were over there.
But oh, you mean throughout the whole movie they were never there?
Oh, you're talking about
No, I'm saying eventually they do get to the house, which wasn't that far from where they were brought. So if the rednecks were never there, but somehow led them to exactly where the house was,
they're pretty good. Good guess. They guessed very well. No, you're
Okay.
right. You know what? So maybe the house really wasn't that close, but they were like they were in some kind of like force field or something.
Well, they did go in a
made
circle, right?
time
Didn't they walk in a circle at one point?
They did, yeah. I love that in movies when people do that.
It happens all the time in the woods.
Yeah. People just somehow always go in circles. Hey, this is starting to look familiar. And then, oh, this is our campsite that we just left. No, but I don't know. Is the house really that close, or wherever they were at? Can the Blair Witch bring the house? It's a witch, right? They have powers.
Wait a second. You think she's moving the house around?
Why not?
Oh my god!
Witches have powers like that.
There's a lot of trees in the way. So what? So she's moving the trees out of the way for the house to land.
That was the loud sound that we
clearing
heard.
the woods
Yeah.
so she could fit the house in there. Okay, that makes sense.
She's lumbering. She hires local lumberjacks, but the Wicked Witch of the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz.
She didn't move the
right?
house. There's a tornado.
Oh, tornado! Oh yeah.
Wait, you thought the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz happened to fling the house from Kansas to land
I was thinking she had the power. No. I was thinking somehow she might have the power to lift the house to move it, but no.
No. The only person that has power to do that is Luke Skywalker. He can lift. He can take out his ship out of the mud in Yoda's place. So I could see him. But outside of that, I don't see the witch clearing the woods so the house could fit. I'm going to say more that she was able to attract these people closer and closer without them realizing it. If she could make time jump, she could kind of, make the woods come alive and push them closer and closer to the house.
Yeah, and the witch can actually throw its voice too, which we'll get into that, because why wouldn't the witch have used that sooner than until the end of the movie? But maybe they're only allowed to use it in the house.
And not for nothing, when you see the witch, and again, I'm not convinced that is a witch, because if that's a witch, we've been wrong all these years. What a witch is. I think my idea is probably the same as everybody else's, that a witch is green with a big nose, a wart, and a black hat. Like, that's pretty much the average witch. This witch looked nothing like that.
Like we said, it looked like Slenderman.
It really did.
That's kind of what it was.
Or
that was
like
the witch's henchman.
I was going to say, or the creature from, like, Stranger Things. Like, it looked like
Yes.
Okay.
But even at this point, so like I just mentioned, like, it's so crazy when we watch these movies and we're like reading our notes. Like, I think when you really are looking back on what you wrote, it's really mind blowing, because I just wrote like, oh, James calmed Peter down for making fun of him, and then they're giggling like kids, and then I'm like, what's going on? Are they already like within the witch's power? So I'm thinking, dude, you're here to find your sister, and you're laughing at the people that you think are experts to help you. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Does that not make sense? Or the fact that somehow everybody's Wi-Fi works perfectly fine in the middle of the woods? Because I have my Wi-Fi in my basement is like really shady, and I can't even just go to my basement. These people are in the woods, and their Wi-Fi's are the walkie-talkies and
like
whatever they're using.
Yeah.
Everything works perfectly fine, and the battery doesn't on their drones and everything. Everything works great.
Yeah, you know what's funny? We never saw them charge anything, and they even introduced. She goes, "Oh, I'm going to put a new battery in the camera," and I'm like, "Why not just show that there's portable chargers are around then?"
And again, the camera was on for 2 days straight.
Yeah,
So yeah, so I think that's a little bit more, unless the witches, has like automatic Wi-Fi for them to make sure they can.
Yeah, they put a cell tower out there to make sure. Hey, you know what? If these kids are gonna die, at least I can watch YouTube before I kill them.
Have you ever gone in the woods to try to use your phone? It's impossible.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's impossible. Yet nothing was blocked for them. They're deep in the woods. Everything worked fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So stupid. One of the stories in this scared the shit out of me. When Talia is telling all the stories, like just before they're getting ready to cross the river, but they didn't know they were crossing yet. She goes, "Yeah, there's a story about a woman that was out here, and her child was in the water, and a hand came out and grabbed the child, and they never found the child."
Why would no one? They're all the same age. Why would no one else know that story? And they're all friends.
They drove pretty far away. No, I don't think the lore of like what happened to his sister was obviously a national story, but they don't know a lot of it because they've never been there. Because I felt like they drove far because they stayed in a hotel the night before.
Wait, you don't think a story of someone going missing in the woods because they feel that a hand came out of the
they wouldn't cover that. When would that ever be on like the main news? Bizarre stuff.
So you don't think someone saying that they were grabbed from on the ground and taken away? That's not story worthy.
It's not going to be on the news. It'll be on like what's the one?
Is that a common thing?
Elvis is still alive. Whatever newspaper that is, the World
the
or whatever.
Enquirer?
I think National Enquirer. Yeah, no, that would never. It might be on some online websites, but you wouldn't see like Larry King Live opening his show like, "Hey, we're here with a woman that's daughter was pulled in the thing. We never found her."
Okay, how many people are being interviewed for seeing flying saucers?
Well, now that they're real.
No, really? No, they've been people for years saying they were abducted, they were probed. They're people. I think
those
Howard
people
Stern
aren't
had a
around
guy.
anymore. Those people got taken out by the government. Because that guy in that interview kind of admitted it without admitting it. He said, "I can't talk about it. It's an ongoing investigation." It's like, oh, he would say no if they didn't kill anyone.
Maybe he's an alien.
Did you imagine that?
Listen, that's how it happened.
He's an alien that's outing aliens?
Well, no, he's because he wants to get more people closer to maybe Area 51. Listen, this could be like a whole they live scenario.
You know what? Yeah.
You know,
I
they're
like
all until we find the glasses that we can see through them. We could have a lot of aliens living among us.
I'm gonna get those shades. Hey, listeners and Jamie, they're actually 35th anniversary of They Live. It's gonna be in the movie theaters
Oh,
September 3rd and September 6th.
You know what? I would take my kids to see that. I would take.
I thought it wouldn't be everywhere. Every Regal cinema, it has it. So
I'm gonna look into that because I mean, it's amazing. The best fight scene ever in a movie.
Yes, Peter
the
Jason,
longest fight
our
scene.
pal. Yeah, great flick. And so that story to me would be like scare the shit out of me, and then I'd be like, oh, like Ashley's like, we're crossing that river. I would be like, I'm not going across there. Like in no way, I really.
Okay.
At that point, I'd be like,
even...
you know what? Do I really want to see my sister that's been missing for 17 years?
17
you know
years.
What? What's 7? What's another 7 more years?
But, not only that, let's be honest. He was only 4, so he didn't even really know her.
He probably didn't even like her. She was probably like, oh, who's this annoying brat?
Listen, he probably got a room that's bigger than his. So, like, you know what? Life was much better once she left.
You know what? That's true. He probably got the whole attic to himself. He had like a big TV, and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm 4," but they're not gonna throw it out.
And again, there's no way he knows her, so it's like, you know, why does he really care to find her? You know,
she had like a cherry red Camaro. She's not driving it.
And not for nothing, knowing that he's got a sister 17 years older than him, he knows he's a mistake. Then at that point, so he should be mad at her.
He should be mad.
But okay, so when they're crossing this river, you know, I mean, I've been in the woods, I've hiked, and you know, when you cross a river, you know, you're stepping on rocks to get across. They're like swimming across, like it's up to their waist when they're crossing this river. You would do that? Like they're all wearing pants and jeans. Like you feel comfortable doing that? Like where are we going? That you're gonna be in water like that? You know, like I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what? Another thing I noticed in that scene too, if they were wearing like warmer clothes, then I would be like, okay, I go in the water. But they were all dressed like it was like fall.
Yeah.
They had like James was wearing a jacket. And I'm like, holy shit, it's cold out. Like by what they're wearing, it's cold. And they're gonna go into this freezing cold water.
There's nothing worse than wet jeans.
Oh,
so you know, like they're wearing their jeans in the water, getting soaking wet. That's awful. So yeah. Okay.
And then Ashley cutting her foot. Oh my god, that was so gross. I'm thinking it's gonna be like, I don't know, because they made a sound effect like it was broken. It was, and we hear that sound effect a lot.
Yeah.
Like that one. Yeah. And exactly that one. That's not good.
That might be your best impression you've ever done.
But anyway, so then she has this gnarly cut on her foot, and I love James is like very calm. He's like, "Oh no, it's not that bad."
Well,
I'm like, whoa.
Okay, there's a few times when someone's looking at that thing and they're saying it's not that bad while they're trying to hide their face of what's going on.
Peter's about to vomit when he sees whatever. Yeah. He sees something that literally a leech or a creature, because they said there's leeches in the water.
It looked like a maggot, like coming out. But I mean, literally, this happens within 5 minutes of getting into the woods. Wouldn't you at this point saying, you know what? We're not even 5 minutes into this woods, and I mean, there's a major like injury. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
It's a sign.
And then again, the longer that she walks, you can see she's in tremendous pain. Like obviously, it's more serious than they thought, and they're still going. Like they're not even thinking about like, you know what? She needs a doctor. We got to get her out of here. No, they just keep going.
Well, she did climb a tree later in the movie, so I guess it couldn't have been that bad.
That is true.
Pretty high up on a tree, to be honest with you.
It was very high up.
And you know what? I just thought about this too. So they camped pretty quick afterwards, right? Didn't they walk for a little bit? And then Peter says, oh, she can't walk on this for too much longer. We have to set up camp. So they didn't even get that far from the river. I don't know how long it took them to get from where they parked to the river and then to there, but that's still, even right there, that's not that far that they're really
but you know what? It was good though. But he put in those this suture band-aids. So you know, she was okay.
It's not that bad. But no, they didn't really even walk that far. Because I think after they got across was it before or after? I think it was before the river, right? Where he said we're crossing into the Black Hills. He said, this is exactly where I found it. Okay. So then once they cross the river, then they're where they camp, where the rest of the movie takes place.
And that's what I mean. So they like where they're going and where the house is not far from where they started.
No.
Unless two things: either the witch was able to like manipulate them into the woods closer to the house, or the house was moved and brought closer to them.
I like that one. Bloop. He like picked it up like it's Sims. Just pick it up and plop it somewhere else and move the trees. Well, this movie did have one of the most realistic camping moments. If you've been camping before, when Peter's trying to set up the tent, I did that one time, and then the next time I went camping the next weekend, I had a pop-up tent.
It's funny. I think everybody has something like that. I actually went camping once in college when I was dating my wife, and we went with like 15 people. And my one friend, I was supposed to stay in the tent with him and like these other two guys, and he forgot like 2 poles. So I ended up in a tent that would fit like 15 people. That it was all girls and me, and then these 2 guys were in this small tent that we were missing 2 poles. So it was like basically on the floor, like. I think it happens a lot. Like you had that one guy that just screws up everything.
So they were 2 poles, and you were pitching a tent with the 15 girls. That's a happy moment. Dude, but no,
it was one of the biggest tents I've ever seen. Hey,
yeah. Hey.
It wasn't. I honestly, I think it fit like seven people or something like that. So like, it was a pretty. So
big you guys were on top of each other.
Listen, you got to keep warm somehow. You got to keep warm.
Yeah. And then the one girl, because you had 14 laying, and then the one laid across the other way. But yeah. But no, that is camping. Like
absolutely.
For people that never camped, buy a pop-up tent, because you don't want to be embarrassed in front of your spouse or your kids. Just get the one that you open out of the bag, you throw it, and it puts itself together.
Let's be honest though, he looks like he's never gone camping ever in his life.
Never.
Right. So I mean, he probably just grabbed something out of his closet, his brother's tent or something like that, and threw. Thought he was going to be able to do that, because you could tell this was not for him.
He said, "Fuck you, tent." I'm like, all right. You know what?
Or it was his way of trying to get into someone else's tent. Bless you.
Thank you. But maybe so then
I was saying maybe purposely, like there's like missing poles because, if he can't get in that tent, he can slide into someone else's, because he's been hitting on every girl anyway.
That is true. He could have done that. But no, but then from there, this is where they have the drone. Like they want to introduce, like a lot of movies do. What's the in technology? And I'm sure 2016 is when everybody was buying like a ton of drones. So they have this drone that goes into the air, and they look around, and I don't know what they're thinking about seeing. It's the only way you'd see this house is if there was a cleared area, like a fully cleared area. Especially you're looking like so far out. So I get what they were trying, but
you don't see anything when the drone goes up, right? Like all you see is the top of the trees.
It's just trees.
You see nothing.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they go right back down. And then we get the quintessential horror moment of Peter going, "Oh, I'm gonna get some wood for a fire," and they're like, "Hey man, don't go by yourself." He's like, "Oh no, it's okay, I'm going alone."
There's way too many people going alone in like, and this happens in every movie. Like, you're going to a place where people went missing, right? You're in the woods, you don't know where you are. You're going to go alone for anything? Like, there's really no plan on how to, like, handle anything in this movie.
Yeah, even during daylight, I wouldn't go far alone.
Even if I went camping, just my buddies, and we went somewhere, I still wouldn't want to go alone. I don't know if there's a bear out there or anything. Like, I think a rule of any kind of camping is if you're going to go somewhere, you always go with a buddy.
You hold hands. Hey, Tony, come on, I gotta go to the bathroom. Girls do it. Girls do it at bars. Guys do it in the woods. Come on.
So you're telling me when you go to the bathroom in the woods, you're holding hands with someone?
Well, I need moral support sometimes. Yeah, you gotta squat in a hole out there. You gotta bring a shovel. You gotta dig a hole.
So are you holding? Wait, I thought you were talking about peeing. Now you're talking about squatting?
Yeah, I'm talking about pooping.
Oh my gosh! Okay,
you need some balance. Unless you find that, you gotta find that good spot with the trees. Two trees. That can be hard.
The balance, you can't squat down with your 2 feet.
Sometimes I'm pushing, man. It's like having a baby,
All right. I think women will argue that one, that it's not like having a baby.
Every woman. Everyone would be like, yeah, dude, you're like 7-second shit. It has nothing to do with my 7-hour labor.
No.
Okay. Touche. Yeah, then so like, there are like those moments like, all right, I'm gonna go by myself, and I'm like, okay, I get you don't believe in it, Peter, but why would you go by yourself?
Yep.
And then we get this like weird montage of them all giggling, eating marshmallows, and Ashley's like fellation on a hot dog, and I'm like, what is going on? That's why I thought like we were gonna get, before everything happened, I thought we were gonna get that 80s moment of like either boobs or sex. Like that's when it was set for.
Yeah, but it's Blair Witch, right? I mean, so it's
Doesn't follow
so
the
not
rules?
that type of movie. Yeah, the rules got canceled in the 90s.
They canceled them. They got together and said, guys, you don't have to show your boobs anymore. We don't need that stuff.
You
That's
can't
when
name
horror
a
went down.
PG movie in the 90s or PG-13 that has boobs.
Oh, was this PG-13, this movie?
Well, I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think it should be PG-13 because I don't think it's scary. I don't think it's, outside of the one gross scene, which is just not even like violent gross. You know, I
It was
don't know.
R.
I mean,
It was
that's crazy.
our
That's
language,
crazy.
terror, and disturbing images.
Oh, what disturbing images?
I guess the Slender Man.
Oh my gosh.
Or, like I wrote later, but I'll use it now, the Blair Witch.
Oh my gosh.
Because why is it naked? Like, I don't understand.
But
I don't
you know
think
what,
it has
though?
to have the hat like we talked about, or a broom, but
Okay, well,
I
wait a
don't
second. If
understand
she lives
it.
in a house by herself, why does she need clothes?
that is true. I would not wear clothes. If there's no one else around, why? Unless if you have like wood furniture, you don't want to like get a splinter down there. So maybe that's where you wear like.
if she is a
boxers.
witch, where's she getting her clothes from?
That's true.
But I mean, she lives in the woods by herself. You wouldn't walk around naked. You'd be, you know, why do I have to get dressed? I want to. If you're gonna live in the woods, you're gonna rough it. You're not gonna wear clothes.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
But I thought, you know, it's funny. I think there might have been another movie somewhere where a witch didn't have clothes on either. I think it's like a witch thing.
Oh no, that movie with the movie that like really traumatized kids my age. The witches with
Did she have clothes?
Angelica Houston. When they turned into witches, they were all
Oh,
like
they didn't
these
have
beautiful rich people.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, I think she's naked. She's definitely naked. You don't see. They don't show like.
Well,
I'm pretty
do
sure
witches
she's
have
naked.
do witches have parts?
I would think so, right? It's not like
Why?
because usually sometimes witches are like normal people and then they turn into witches.
Yeah, but okay, but when they're the witch though, doesn't obviously they're not human. If they're a witch, they're not human, right? So, I'm guessing they don't have parts.
So you would think they're a Barbie doll?
I think they're like a
It's
Barbie doll.
flat.
Well, did this witch have parts?
Did who? Did this witch? Oh, I don't know. The witch looked pretty flat.
You didn't slow it down to see her? Come on.
No, I don't know about. Yeah, that's a good question, dude. Witches? I would think so because I feel like is there some movies that's vampires usually hot, right?
Vampires, but even vampires, I don't think, because even like when you see like male vampires, like I feel like they're like Barbie dolls too. Like I think
You don't think they have anything there?
no, I don't think. I think they're like
You don't think Edward in Twilight was getting it on with Kristen?
when he's a human form, but when he's vampire form, I don't think vampires have genitals.
Oh, you're talking about when they turn into.
I'm talking about when they turn. I don't think they're. I think they're. It's like a werewolf.
Okay.
When someone turns into a werewolf, it's not like they're running around with no clothes on.
Wolfman's got nards. Yeah, that's from. Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, when you see any other wolf man that's not wearing clothes, he doesn't have nards.
Well, I don't think like Lon Chaney. We were zooming in on it.
Okay, but you know what? When a wolf man is running around, if you're running around, you're gonna be bouncing around everywhere. You're gonna be flopping and bouncing. You don't see that in any.
You hear
wolf
that
man.
sound effect in the movie? You hear like.
Well, you're on point today with your sound effects.
When they're not an actual like voice sound effect, I can nail them sometimes. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Hey, follow. We're at Sequels Only on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So if you guys have any theories about the genitalia of witches and werewolves when they turn.
I
Let us
can't
know.
wait for the experts to come in
I
and
hope,
give us.
I hope someone.
So
Egan,
Egan, I was going to say, Egan,
please.
come on.
Does Bela Lugosi does he have a penis in Dracula? I don't know.
Well, he's always human form. That's the problem.
Oh, you're talking about when they turn into a bat?
No, but okay.
That'd be
here's my-
weird. If they turn into a bat and you just saw like a.
Well, in Dracula Dead and Loving It, didn't they have Leslie Nielsen's head on top of the bat when he was flying around?
Yeah.
But that's my point exactly. So they're human, they have the genitals, but when they turn into the bat, there's nothing. So if they're like bat, isn't there a form that's between the human and the bat form? There's human bat form.
I guess in like Fright Night, but they don't use that lore too much of the vampires changing into like the creature. Like he does it in Fright Night, but not too many. Usually they're just people that have fangs.
What didn't happen to Dracula with Keanu Reeves? Didn't Gary Oldman turn into like a monster?
Oh yeah, and he looked like he had boobs on his head. Yeah, I guess he turns into a creature. What is it? The boobs grow on his head, and then it's.
Listen, he was one of the best Draculas in any movie.
He's one of the best bad guys ever.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
All right. We're way off topic here.
So
I don't know
they're
how we got
sitting
into vampires.
I don't know how, but it was great. I loved it. So then they're sitting by the fire, eating wieners, eating marshmallows, and they're telling stories. And Talia starts going into more about the lore of the Blair Witch, and then Peter. This is like the first really creepy moment. And again, we know Lane is bullshitting because we already talked about that, but we don't know about that in the movie yet. But when he talks about being part of the search for James's sister when he was younger, he goes, I walked these woods with hundreds of volunteers, and he goes, it didn't get me.
Okay.
And the guy goes, well, maybe it already got you. And I'm like,
how old is James in this movie?
I would think he's, James is 21. Peter, I'm guessing Peter's in mid-20s.
No,
he's older than James.
The one said that. Who's the one that said he?
Peter.
Okay, so Peter. So 21. This is 17 years later. So he was 4.
No. James is 4. Heather's brother was 4. Peter, I don't know how old he was. I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He looked young also. Like he wasn't that old.
Yeah. No, I don't know if he was like in between Heather because he said he knew Heather. So.
Well, he also said a lot of things. Like so he obviously lied about that. So he clearly didn't know Heather. So my point is, if he was out there looking, that doesn't make sense because he would have been 10 years old? Mate, I'll give him 10 years old. He was 10 out there with hundreds of people looking.
Yeah, but usually when they have volunteers or searches, they have everyone that will volunteer to see if they step on a dead body. I guess.
So you think that children also go out there? Listen. We have a murder suspect that's out here. We need every hand and eyesight we can. Bring your children along too, and let's make this a family trip.
Yeah, we'll give free Happy Meals.
Okay.
We need all the manpower. No, but that was such a creepy line when he said that. When he looked at him and said, "Well, you're back here," and I'm like, "Whoa, this is like scary." I'm like, "This is kind of freaky," and then he goes. And then another thing he says just before bed, he goes, you have to spend the night for the witch to get you.
How does he like, why do they think he knows all that? Like that, okay,
I don't know.
That's a very specific thing.
Yeah, because he found the video and he lied and said he's been there a bunch of times and he's been to the house.
I get that. But that's a very specific thing to say is that you have to sleep for the witch to get you. So that's something you would only know if you met the witch.
Yeah,
right. So for them to believe that makes no sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Really, like, I get it. You can think he found the video and his lore and all that stuff. But first of all, I'm assuming no one's met the witch and survived. So everything is always story told. So the only way he would know that if he's making it up.
And we find out that's what he is. But no, that makes sense. Because it's not like the witch is gonna be like, yeah, you can go.
So, and listen, here's the rules, and make sure you tell all your friends. You can't look at me. You got to stand in a corner, and all this no, it doesn't make sense. And again, standing in the corner thing too doesn't make sense. How did
I
know
don't
that?
know. I don't know how he knew that either. I guess from looking at his sister's video and seeing the one guy was maybe still alive.
But they didn't explain why he's doing that. I mean,
No.
and the fact that you can't look at the witch, how do they know that?
Yeah.
Like all these very specific things that they know about the rules of the witch, they should not know.
Yeah. No, there's again, it should be only if you survived. How do you guess
And if someone survived, I wish they were in the movie. Then that would have made more sense than having these rednecks. You know, I guess you have the rednecks also, but they should have had some kind of survivor if that was the case, so that could explain these rules to everybody.
I think this is like basically stealing something you just mentioned a few minutes ago. What would have been awesome would have been if, agreed, they keep the rednecks, but then you have a survivor who we find out isn't a survivor, that the person works with the witch, is some kind of servant for the witch, and has to go and get people to go there. That'd be creepy as...
Part of me thought that the two rednecks were that.
Oh, nice.
Because, I mean, they brought them there. I mean, clearly they brought them there. They, like, how'd they know about the symbols?
From the original video.
Okay, but you don't know if that's the witches. First of all, in the original movie, was it graffiti, or was it hanging? I don't remember that in the movie. Like, was that like, where did the symbols come from? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know exactly what it was from. Well, I guess the witch makes them. She stands there in her slender self.
Well,
and she makes them, I guess.
They look very easy to make because clearly they made it that night. And they're huge without anyone hearing or seeing them do it.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
And again, very quietly, because there had to be at least 5 of them, if not more, and they were pretty big.
Yeah, I know we heard that sound of like a tree falling during that time. Obviously, that wasn't them knocking a tree down to make these things with twigs.
So they knocked a tree down, carved out the wood to make these things.
But then that's when they must have done it, like around that point, because or they had to stop doing it because everybody was awake at that point, because everybody was talking to their walk. So if you think some creatures outside, like Lisa runs over and jumps in this thing, you think you're going to talk over a walkie-talkie, which is like the loudest thing ever. You're like, oh, no, if there's a bear, don't talk. Maybe whisper.
And they're still okay staying there. I don't know. I feel like the fear factor of all the things that they go on, and they're all afraid every single time something's going on. They hear a noise, they see the symbol, whatever it is. They're super afraid, and then they keep going on. Like, how many? At what point do you say, you know what, we got to turn around? Like, at what point does the fear get to you where you literally say, all right, you know what, that's it. This is a topper. I have to turn around, because I would have turned around so long ago, and they're like, I mean, unless I'm a wimp, but I feel like they're just, I don't know. There's no fear. Like, you see the fear in their faces. Every noise, and especially the symbol part, they were freaked out. And how can you continue to go?
Yeah, even if it wasn't the symbols. Now, I totally forgot about this when we talked about this earlier. The symbols themselves would freak me out. Even when I found out they were made up by the rednecks I was with. But then I would think about, like, you know what? There was like wolves in the woods or something that could eat us. I think we should get out of here. Maybe like call the cops. Because James's whole thing was so dumb. He goes, what if we get something on the drone footage, and with that, then we can get the cops to come out here? I'm like, I don't know if that's going to change. Is that going to change anything? What are the cops going to do? Oh, another witch in there? Okay, cool. Yeah, we're on our way.
Like, no, the cops would probably tell you to go home, at that point. But even, okay, so this, again, back to the symbols. So if they saw those symbols from the first video, so do the people that were there. So obviously, immediately, they recognized the symbols, and they thought it was the witch.
Yeah.
And again, back to my point before, even when they know it's fake, but they freaked out when they did see it and thought it was real, they're expecting to go to a house where they think the sister is. So clearly, they're going to be expecting to see those symbols again for real. So if they're freaked out on the fake ones, what makes them think that they're going to be going to the real ones and be okay?
Yeah, no, I know. Hey, I just thought about this. So do you think Lane was acting in this part? Remember when he was like crazy? Remember when he like pops into their, James walks out and he runs into James? Now, Was he acting there to like add? Because he already had them in the woods, hook, line, and sinker. They were already into going in the house. So do you think that was acting, or did he really see something?
But that's the thing. I don't like with his character goes through so many changes in this movie.
Dude.
I just don't know. Like I don't know. Like like even later on when you see them coming out of the woods again, right? Like they're all look disheveled.
Oh, dude.
Like I'm like I don't know if that was an act. Like I was like very confused.
Well, I don't think that was an act because
no.
I know
obviously what happens later on, but at that point though, like you just don't know. Like you just like it doesn't make sense why they would be coming out of the woods. Like is once you leave those woods, does time jump? Because clearly it does.
Yeah. No, that's clear. You know, what was a really cool like M. Night Shyamalan to this movie. If it was this movie ended like one of them, I don't want to say which one because then people are like, "Oh, I don't want to watch that." But you imagine if this whole movie was just a social experiment, like Talia and Lane were like in on it, and like really nothing was happening. It was just like some kind of setup because that's the way you felt when you saw them later in the movie. They're like, "Oh, yeah, hey Talia, stay away." Guys, we haven't seen you in 6 days, and he has like he has like a big beard. I'm like, oh my god, dude.
But see, okay, so that doesn't make sense then because they do eventually leave the woods, and they don't age.
But do they? No, I know, but do they really not leave? Because even though I know we saw them start hiking, somehow the witch made them go in a convoluted like tight circle.
Who are we talking about? The rednecks?
Oh, they
no. I'm talking about the group looking for the sister.
That's what I mean.
Also, so they do a leave because they go to the house. So they do leave the woods, but no one in that group ages. But somehow the other two age, and again, they don't explain. They don't explain.
See, that would
be
cool if we would have saw them go into the house. See, for like a female, it's hard to show them like a female like after 15 days or 30 days. With a male, it's easy to do like if you would have had a 5 o'clock shadow, or if you gave James a beard, like when James is in the house and then she went in the house when they ran into each other. If he had a beard, then I'd be like, holy shit. Because dude, Lane is like Grizzly Adams in the house. He has like a full beard.
And,
like,
and it's only 15 days, you said?
I don't know what he said in the house.
I thought it was a couple of years.
He said 6 days.
Okay, that's a big beard for 6 days.
When they saw them hiking. No, when they saw him hiking, he said 6 days. I don't know how long it was when, like, in the house. I don't know what that was.
That's what I mean. The house part, I thought it was a couple of years because he looked older. Like, like it. So, but again, none of that is explained at all. Like, why they kept aging. What, like, there's a lot. You know what? After this, I want to see some, like, Google some people what they think because it just doesn't make sense. Like that whole storyline. Like, there's no explanation.
Yeah, what's great about a movie like this, in the sense of for like fans to have theories, there's no source document, so there's really no like there's no like book this came from, so really anybody can have any theory on it, which is like pretty cool. But yeah, I have no guess because when we see him in the house, he does look a lot older than we saw him just like few scenes before. So,
and why is he attacking her?
Oh, dude, I don't know why he's doing that. And he throws some. Yeah, we'll get into that part.
Okay, but again, like there's so much like that they just don't explain anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if he would have said something, we'll get into it. Okay. I have a few things like that would have made sense for him to say and like would have made the scene a lot better. But so then when they wake up, we talked about this already. The Blair Witch symbols are hanging from the trees. They're like, "Oh man, I'm out of here. Let's pack up. Let's go." Ashley's foot hurts anyway. They start walking, and then they find out that, oh my god, they made it up because I think it was Lisa, right?
No, they found string. No,
that's what I mean. But no, it was one of the girls. It was one of the girls saw in his backpack and was like, "Hey, this is the same string from here." And they pulled one of it out of the bag, and they compared it, and then he admitted to it. So we talked about this a million times already, but then that's when you're like, "Oh my god, what was made up?" And then they go off on their own, and they were basically kick him out. But obviously, they were like, "Get the hell out!"
I think they were chased out. Yeah,
they were chased out. But then at this point, again, another thing we forgot is when they woke up the next day. So that's what I don't make sense, because that's another thing that doesn't make sense to me too. Because remember they woke up at 2:00, and she's like, "How did we sleep so long?"
Weren't they all like laying on top of each other?
Yeah. How do you sleep that long? Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that happen? Why'd they wake up like that? Like, was that okay.
No, but remember when they go, "Oh, I bet we woke up so late. I bet you drugged us." And then Lane was like, "No, I wouldn't have done that." And in my head, I'm like, maybe he did it. We didn't see that would have made so much more sense. Like, even if it wasn't the thing we were talking, like you thought about too, was that they were basically like servants to the Blair Witch and they had to get people. If they would have passed around like a bottle of wine or something, or a bottle of liquor, then I'd be like, oh my god, they did drug him.
No, everything that happens to them, and with Lane and everything else, that makes sense that he worked with the witch.
Yeah.
Or like he was the witch or something like that. Like that would be like, that's his human disguise or whatever. But he wasn't. So like, again, there's no explanation for any of that. I just wish there was some way of saying, all right, I don't know. I don't even know how they would explain why they fell asleep, why, you age when you leave the woods, why, whatever. Like I just wish there was a way to do it. And I don't know how they would be able to do that unless there was a survivor. Like the only way, like to understand what was going on is they would have to have someone that would have survived the witch's attack.
Yeah. And Lane would be the perfect person. Like, I think that would have been great for the story for him to be like a servant to the witch. Like that would make sense. Because then it'd be really cool. Because then after the final scene in the movie, you could have like a mid-credit scene of him like meeting new people, and that could be like
or maybe the witch has his sister, and he's got to do this thing to bring other people, or something something that the witch is holding over him, or whatever. That would make sense. Or he was a survivor, and for some reason, like the witch let him go as long as he brings someone back or something.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% on board on that. Okay. So then now they're on their own. They kick the rednecks out and they start walking. The GPS isn't working. They thought they'd be at the fence, like the fence that I'm guessing that was a fence that they had to go over after the river.
What'd they have in the GPS?
Oh, probably where they parked their car, I'm guessing. That was a weird looking GPS.
Well, no, they weren't going home. They were still going to the house. They were still looking for the house.
No, they were going to leave at that point. No, they were leaving.
No, once they found out it was fake, though, they decided to stay. I thought.
No, because they were going to go to the fence to get out of there. They said, let's do this another day. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
No, because they were like, let's go back. No, let's go. And then that's when they're like, oh my God, no, we're at the same spot. Because they didn't have GPS coordinates for the house yet.
Okay. I doubt they have GPS coordinates to go to the fence also. Like, what do you plug into the GPS to say, all right, you know what, let's find our car?
No, not to go to the fence, but the coordinates were like the parking lot probably. So they were probably like, oh, in between, we know to get to the parking lot.
Wait, you think there's an address in the parking lot to enter the woods?
Yeah, there's longitude and latitude. That's how GPSs work. What do you mean? That's how GPS on your phone works.
There's an address to put in the GPS.
But that address is connected to a longitude and latitude.
So you're telling me they could be like a little side, you go on the highway and there's one of those side, viewpoints that you can look at over the mountain, and you just find the coordinates and you type in, all right, you know what? Hey, Waze, I'm gonna put in 90 degrees latitude, 842 longitude to bring me to where I need to go.
Yeah, and then it'll bring you to that point. Yeah.
No way.
Yes, that's how that works.
Oh, so how do you know the longitude and latitude of the parking lot that's entering the woods?
You use your GPS to ping where you're at, just like you do on your GPS.
Oh my gosh.
How does your phone know where you're starting your trip from? Because of GPS.
Because I put the address in, though. There's no address at the
You put
woods.
the address where you're going. You're not putting the address where you're at right now.
So you're going to the parking lot where you enter the woods. What address are you putting in there?
The one that they saved in their phone, just like when I parked my car.
They didn't save it in the phone. The rednecks knew where to go. They didn't know where they're going.
No, the rednecks were showing them where they were going to the house, not where they parked their car.
Yeah, but there was absolutely no address for where they parked the car. It was the beginning of the woods. The rednecks knew where the woods to go. You're crazy if you think they.
Next time you go somewhere, like say you're in a giant stadium, and you park, and you're like, oh, I don't feel like looking at on the lights where it says like L17 or something.
Yeah.
You go on your phone, you hold on the location you're at, park car, you walk into the stadium. When you leave, it's not like, oh my God, where am I going to go? You click on that thing on your phone. GPS has always had that. What are you crazy?
Okay. I don't think so. I don't think they had an address or pinpoint to go to the beginning of the woods.
Well, that's how they made it sound, because he's like, "Oh, are we following it?" And then
Well, I
that's
know
when
they made
thought
it
were
sound
being
that
done.
way. All right, you know what? If there's any Boy Scouts out there that are listening, I want to know if there's a
Well, I
way.
think Boy Scouts are allowed to use GPS, right? Isn't that like
No, they use a compass.
compass? Okay.
Which
Even
I
better.
still-
But they were like, "Oh, hey, we started walking south, now we're gonna go back north."
Yeah, but they're Boy Scouts. So they can do those kind of things.
But
Not
no,
one of these people were a Boy Scout, but they were far from a Boy Scout. So.
Oh yeah, because they couldn't make a fire, they couldn't put a tent up. You're right. That's true. That is true. And they didn't hold hands when they went to look for
That is true.
wood.
See, that was mistake number one.
I didn't see no hand holding. But yeah, so then they're sort of lost. The GPS isn't working. Boom, they're right back to where they camped. So at that point, Ashley's foot hurt again. So it's like the witch has something in there. Like, ooh, your foot's gonna hurt again. They're like,
Well,
Peter's
we're hearing crunching when she's walking.
oh,
We're hearing like weird noises, which
Yeah.
I thought she was just stepping on leaves or something. Like I didn't realize. Like I don't know.
She was.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
Oh, dude,
Okay.
this is the next scene. So then Peter's like, "Hey, we have to camp here tomorrow. We'll get out of here." All right, fine. Because at this point, you're like, even though I know we'd be scared, and they seemed scared when they thought it was all real, but at this point, they're like, "All right, fine. We'll just go tomorrow." And this is when Peter's checking the wounds, and it's like split open, looks gross. I thought it was gonna look grosser, like it is later in the movie. But when you see like something like poke out of it, it's like the witch's finger was in there.
Well, you see something poke out and you hear the noise.
yeah,
That's what okay.
looked like
And
a
his
bug.
face though was very funny because she was like trying to like be all calm.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that was pretty natural because I think anyone in those shoes, I mean, I'm not good with like seeing gross things on someone like a cut or a blood. So like, you know, like to hold your composure while you're looking at something that's like pretty gross and like who knows how like serious it is, and you have to be calm about it and say no, it's okay. I think it's so hard to do.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
As you're
soon
like
as you walk out,
turning white and like
yeah. But no, so he played it off a little bit, and then he had to go out while they're flying the drone, which crashes, and then he has to tell James, "Hey, you go check it out," which is like, oh my god. But then Peter, dude, this whole Peter scene to me is it's crazy. So again, he doesn't believe everything that was happening. But so at this point again, he goes, "I'm gonna get some more sticks because we have to have the fire warm all night because she's really cold." So he goes out there and he's picking up sticks, and this whole scene to me, I thought we would get better. Like out of the kills that we see in the movie, which we don't really see too much. It's not like we actually see him like in like a slasher movie, but I don't know, the fact that like he's walking and he's sort of hearing something on his GPS, and then a tree falls on him. Like that's what happened.
it's a $5 million movie. What kind of deaths do you think?
No, I
they're gonna
know,
have?
but I don't know. There could have been like some something different. The fact that he gets hit by the tree, then he's trying to call James, and James goes and he leaves, goes by himself. And then we see James in the distance. That's the part I hated about this, because you saw a flashlight, and you heard James talking, but the flashlight wasn't moving. Because if somebody's talking or looking for somebody, they go, "Hey, Peter," you do like the left to right a little bit,
Of course.
or something. No, it was like stationary, which maybe the other actor was on break, so they set it up on a tripod or something. I don't know. They gave it to an extra and told him not to move, but that made no sense. And then I know where Peter gets like ripped into the sky. Is that what happened?
Yeah. And again, like who's doing this? Is this the witch? Like that's why like I feel like finding out that it's aliens and not a witch makes more sense than anything else, because then I believe a tree, an alien can make a tree fall. I can believe that they could rip someone to the sky. The things that happen in this movie, time jumps and all that kind of stuff, is very alien like. Being that like we don't know if this is the witch or she's able to do all this makes no sense, because none of this happened also in the first movie. Like literally, I guess unless I'm missing, I don't remember, but really nothing does like these kind of things happen in the first movie.
No, they go. Well, they hear sounds and stuff, but it's really they go crazy. So in the
Right.
first movie, if you remember, I think his name was Mikey. I'll never forget it when he's like, "Mikey, where's the map?" He goes, "I took the map and I threw it down the fucking river." Or he like goes crazy. That's what they're.
Right.
So in that one, it's more like they're, and it's mostly daylight in some of those scenes. So
do they turn on each other in that movie?
yeah, they start yelling at each other. Yeah, that's why they
Right,
walk off.
so-
Yeah.
Right. So, and I don't remember. Do you see a witch in that movie, or
I don't
you
think
don't
you
see?
any-
No, I don't think. So, like, I thought they turned on each other, like killing each other. Like, I thought
No,
they just
no, it's not that.
So how'd they die?
Well, the witch does kill them. We just don't see anything on camera. It's more of like the element. Oh, $200,000 budget. You know,
Yeah.
that's probably what it was. There wasn't anything like that. So there's a line in this movie, and I love when this happens when actors read the scripts and they don't use their brain when reading it. So James says a line that no human being would say. So maybe he is a witch because he says we should take her to the closest DR tomorrow.
DR, he said.
DR.
Oh my gosh.
Like in the
I
script,
don't-
it probably said D.R. for doctor.
No, of course.
But the fact that he said DR, I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
nobody
I
says
don't-
that.
Yeah. You
Nobody
don't say that?
at all. He's a robot. He's an alien. Or he's a witch with no genitalia. Maybe that's it. So yeah, the whole Peter scene, the tree fell on him. I'm like, oh my god, just like. But I wrote that is a great strategy. So if you're a witch and you wanted to not have any lore around you, but you just wanted to kill people, you know, you want it really like you didn't want to scare people because you want people to come to your woods. You just like make trees fall on people, have them like trip down a hill.
So you think that like every kill should be just like like nature, like
nature?
You know,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Bear, oh, hey Bear, go get that guy. You know, like
What do you
it should
think
be stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay.
'Cause that's what it was. A tree fell on him, and then he got like sucked into the air. And we
Well,
never
that's-
saw him again. I thought we'd
Yeah.
see him again. That
So is he
made
still
no
being
sense.
sucked in the air? Like what? Like where's it going?
I don't know.
See,
I
that
thought he'd
makes
be in the house.
But again, like that, like okay, the tree, fine, but like getting sucked in the air, like makes no sense. Like, at least explain where. Like, I thought he was getting sucked and like tossed away, or like being thrown in the air, but like they don't show like where he lands.
Yeah, it was a
Or-
shame that we
or-
didn't see him later in the movie or Ashley like that in the house because obviously we saw Lane.
Well, like
So-
like a trophy collection.
Or yeah, not it has a trophy collection. Like, oh, now they're people of the house. Like maybe they're there the next time somebody comes. They see like the former people that get killed. I don't know.
Wait, and what is she going to do with them?
They can hang out together, and then they can go with Lane and recruit new people. Get more people to come in.
So she's building an army, is what you're saying.
She's building an army of salesmen to go out there. It's like the Book of Mormon. They're going to go door to
Oh my
door,
gosh.
and they're going to get more people to join. Convince them.
Okay.
Lisa
All right.
can flirt with college guys. Hey, bring your van. Come on, bring it. We have a
So
keg.
basically, you're saying like Mormons when they go door to door, they're really witches.
They are.
We just lost every single Mormon listener.
Mormon. I
okay?
know. I used to work with a bunch of Mormons. They were very nice.
I work with them
couldn't-
right now.
They couldn't drink coffee, which is
I know.
bizarre
I know.
to me.
Soda, they can't have soda. I know.
No soup. I remember the one guy. He was like, "I don't think I can have soup." And I'm like, "How do you not have soup?"
I know.
And then I found.
All right.
Then I googled the other things that they could. It's really if you ever want. It's not making fun of somebody's religion, but if you ever look at the list of things they can't do, it is.
Well, I watched a documentary on them. There was a documentary on one guy that he actually ended up going to jail.
Yeah.
No, what's his name?
Oh no, I'm thinking Scientology. My bad.
It's-
Oh, I know the Mormon one you're talking about. Yeah.
I forget his name. Warren Jeffs. It's Warren Jeffs. He ended up going to jail. But I mean, everybody knows what Mormons are. But when you hear some of the things that like the rules and everything else, like you said, it's crazy. I mean, that's the life they live, and they like it. Like I when I flew back from Salt Lake City one year, about 2 months ago, I was surrounded by a bunch of young Mormons who were going on a mission trip, and like they were loving what they're doing and everything else. But I guess on the outside, because they don't know any better, like this is what they do. But on the outside, it's just like they have a lot of strict rules. Like again, like
Yeah.
soda, like
Yeah.
or and and I actually work with two people that used to be Mormons and they got out, and he would talk about it. Like they have special books and everything they have to read, and yeah, it's crazy.
Insanity. But yeah, so maybe the Blair Witch has people go hand
So
out
somehow,
literature. To
watching
convince
this
people.
movie, we talked about Mormons and vampires and Ken
Classic.
dolls
And
Barbie
Ken
Ken.
dolls.
Okay, all right.
So at this point, this is where so Peter's already missing at this point, and James, if you remember, like while Peter is already gone, he sets up like a random trail cam, which I thought they could have used so much cooler, like to actually show something
Yeah,
later, which
yeah.
we really didn't get too much from that.
Correct.
So Ashley comes out and she's looking like she's about to die. I'm like, oh my God, dude. And James is sitting with, this is my favorite part of movies that we cover, of all movies that I watch too, is when the character in the movie says something that we're thinking. Again, he should have thought about it earlier. James looks at Lisa and he goes, I can't believe I thought she'd be out here still. And I'm like, thank you. Like, finally?
Yeah, yeah.
But dude,
Oh
at
my
this
God.
point, Peter's missing and they hear a sound and I'm like, oh, okay. They can look at the camera. No,
Is
James
there- is there-
opens the tent.
Yeah. Is there panic at this point? Like,
No, not
Not
really.
really.
Still calm. Just saying, like,
right,
oh man,
I mean,
can't
not the
believe, what a
panic,
klutz I
but not the
am.
panic
Yeah.
that they should have.
Exactly.
You know, and that's the thing. I mean, and now you're missing people. Like, again, you're going to a place where people are missing, and now you're missing people from your group.
Yeah. Well, I think
Okay.
it changes right after this scene. I think
It-
when
it
Lane
almost
and
becomes- yeah.
when Lane and Talia show up because they
Yeah.
hear something in the woods. That's why they got out of the tent, and they say, "Oh my God, we haven't seen you guys in like 5 or 6 days," and you're like, "No, it's been a few hours." Like in our
Yeah.
timeline, like really they got rid of them like at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then now it's nighttime. So it hasn't been that long, but for them, wherever
Yeah.
they were, it's been 6 days.
So they don't talk about what they were doing for 6 days, or they just
Well, they were
wandering around the
basically like,
woods.
yeah, I guess they were stuck because remember what Talia says? She goes, "Do you have food? I need something to eat." And then Lane's like, "No, you don't go with them." And then she
No,
left.
but they were literally walking around, and like in their timeline, they were just walking around the woods trying to get out.
Yeah, maybe they were stuck, and somehow the Blair Witch puts up invisible walls or something.
Oh my gosh!
It's like
All
under
right.
the dome or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
so stupid. Okay.
Something like that. But then, yeah, dude. And then James and Lisa, again, this is already crazy enough, right? They go, yeah, let's go lay back down. And this is where I thought they were going to hook up because there was like this weird little, like, him, like, looking at her and then
Wait a
looking
second,
at each
wait.
other.
So you thought now they're gonna hook up after they're missing some of their friends, and they found 2 people that were gone for 6 days when they thought it was only a couple hours. So now you think like now's the time to like, you know what? Let's hook up because that's normal.
Well, I don't think it was normal, but there was the first time that they had this eye contact that was more than just like because they were just friends. Like that's what it was. Like Peter and Ashley were boyfriend girlfriend, but they were just like friends, or they just swapped every weekend. I don't know what their whole dynamic was, but the
Right.
fact that she looks at her
Oh.
watch right at 7:00 in the morning, and she goes, "Why is this can't be right?" That's kind of creepy. That's a really creepy. That would like set me off right there. I'd be like, okay, it's still dark right now. Like,
Wait, that's gonna set you off, not the fact that you had 2 people that were gone for 5 days. That's not gonna set you off. But now the watch, now that's crazy.
I think I'm just going by them because they're nothing scared them yet. This is really. Would you say this is the first thing that panics them? Because when they
Yes,
get out,
yes, but
Yeah, okay.
but they should have been panicking about 15 times
Oh.
already.
yeah, no, agreed.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no. It
right.
just the fact that it's still dark at this point, and yeah, dude, and then it gets crazy again because this is where we see. Is it Ashley or Talia? Right? Oh no, Talia comes out of nowhere and she scares the shit out of him, and she throws up everywhere. And this is where she just collapses to the ground, right?
Yeah. No, well, she
Yeah.
doesn't she like break because the other one broke the. the stick or something like that. So she like broke. It was almost like a voodoo doll.
Oh yeah, Ashley grabbed the big one and snapped it. And at that point, she snapped in half.
Yeah. Which they
That
don't
was
explain
bizarre.
that either. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, how are
Because
they
those were
connected?
fake.
Was that hers? No, those are real ones. Those are new ones. All those ones are new. Yeah, they were bigger and newer. Yeah.
Okay. I see. I thought they were the same ones, but okay. Oh, so she thought they put them up again. Is that why she broke them?
Yeah, that's an Ashley. Because
Okay.
she's like, she's having fever dreams. She's like
Right.
really
Okay.
sick. She's about to die.
Right. So she was connected somehow to that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
It's like a voodoo doll. So it's kind of like
Yeah, it was like
a voodoo
I
stick.
I thought, and I was like second guessing what I saw because she moved literally like you would with a voodoo doll.
Yeah.
Okay.
And how about the tent starting to fly in the air? I was thinking, you know what? This would pay off. When the tent was flying and chasing them and we saw them running, I was like, dude, this would really pay off if it like scooped up Ashley. And like that's how she died. Then I'm like, oh, this would be cool. But nothing.
Wait.
It just lands on the ground.
Wait, so you're okay with a second person being scooped up and not knowing where they go?
No, but if the tent was involved, then I would be cool with it. Not thin air. I'm talking about using the tent.
But where is everything going? Like again, like where is everything going? Like where's the tent going?
Yeah, it seems like everything's going in nowhere. It's almost like they're dead already.
Yeah, it's
like they died crossing that river. Maybe they got electrocuted, and they're dead.
Oh man!
Like, because at that point, that's when everything went different. Like, when did the Blair Witch? That's what I would love to know. Like, even when the writers, I would love to know in their mind, when did this? This is like Blood Fist. Like, when did they die? Like, when did this whole paradox happen?
And don't forget the video hasn't happened yet, which was already seen. So you know, like, yeah. So I mean, I wish we really could hear from the. I wish there was the interview of them explaining the plot of the movie, so we could understand exactly what was in their minds.
I'm gonna find behind the scenes when we're done. I should have done that beforehand because there's so many things of this.
There's a lot of unanswered questions. It doesn't make sense. Now, if you find it something that really, if they ties everything together, then you know what? Then maybe they are a genius, and this is like a Blood Fist 5. You know, but there's too many open loopholes right now that are just not explained.
No, I agree.
Okay.
Just like I'm not going to go through all these things on IMDb, like the trivia things, but dude, they filmed this movie in secret, like super secret, and then they unveiled it at Comic-Con. Like the actors weren't allowed to tell anyone.
They should have kept it a secret.
It was promoted under a fake title called The Woods.
Oh my gosh. I hate the movie. I hate the movie even more. It was filmed in secret. Really? Like $5 million budget. It's filmed in secret. I mean,
at this
it's probably
point,
filmed in secret because no one wanted to cover it.
So at this point, this one Ashley, she's all by herself because James and Lisa break off. And dude, this is where she's looking down at her wound, and it starts pussing. Oh, the white color that comes out.
And the movement of like the skin and again the sound, like this is so gross. It was well done. You know, I'll give this is like to me the most real, like not realistic, but like I guess the most real looking thing that happens in a movie.
Yeah. And just at that point I would call out for the Blair Witch to kill me. Because she's gonna die from that alone. Like there's no way that she's gonna get to a hospital in time. But you get that, and then at the same time, the Blair Witch is throwing its voice onto the walkie-talkie and make Peter sound like he's talking. So it's like Peter's alive? Like really? Like he got sucked out of there, but was he really even there? But I don't know.
But again, why these bugs coming out of her leg? Like the worms coming out of her leg though? Like that doesn't make sense.
No,
it would be something if she drank something and that was inside her body.
Yeah, like if they all drank something from Lane, that would make sense to me. Right.
But the fact that all it was a cut. But was it like because it's like poisoned like river or whatever they walked across or something? Like it just, again, another thing that there's just no explanation.
Yeah. There could have been something that we saw, something crawl into her foot. Like I would have loved that.
Right,
Seeing
right.
some like creature that didn't look like,
or again, this could be, maybe it's a baby Slender Man that comes out
inside
of her foot.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Could you imagine that? If that were Ashley was standing there and then like the Slender Man broke from
See?
the entire body.
But again, this is alien stuff, right? So the theory of, forget the witch, that these are really aliens that are doing this would
Yeah.
make more sense.
You know what's crazy? That does make more sense when you're like thinking about a movie about witches that don't look like witches. But you know what? If it was aliens, no, you're right.
It would make more. All this would make more. Good. That could be a baby alien that somehow went into the body. All this stuff, the floating in the air. That would be alien stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, witches need brooms. And they need
They do need brooms.
green noses and warts to do any of
Yeah.
that. But then Ashley, like her legs oozing, she probably could barely move. But she goes, "Oh, I see the drone. Let me climb into the tree to get it." Which,
Of all
what's
people.
that drone gonna do? Yeah. Well, she was by herself. She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this on my own."
Well, yeah, but she could have went back and told someone.
Yeah. But her death, that was a cool little jump scare. Just because when she's trying to reach for the thing, she's gonna fall.
Of course.
I think the way she fell was filmed really cool, like the POV of it. When she landed and we saw the camera, like her camera that was on her ear, fall
Right.
like I guess away from her. When you saw her just laying there and then disappear really quick, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I really like that one. That was good.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, so then they're screaming and they're hearing the sound coming from inside the house. So at this point, James and Lisa are just screaming for Ashley, like Ashley, Ashley, and obviously she can't hear
But
them.
think about how close they were. How did they get that close to the house?
The witch moved
Because
it.
they didn't go far. They weren't far. Like
No,
all this
no,
happened in the same vicinity where they were camping.
Yeah, no,
and
I
then
know.
somehow they got to the house very quickly. So I mean, again, obviously the witch was able to make them think they're walking in a circle and all that stuff. So she could have just opened up the woods to them so they can come close.
Open up a little portal, a little gateway to.
You know what?
Here you go. You know
based
what?
on everything else, listen. Based on everything else that's going on, that would be just as believable.
A comedy of this, if they did like a scary movie spoof on, which I don't know, they did for the original Blair Witch. They made fun of that.
Yes,
but if they did it for this one, it'd be like the witch put signs in the woods, like, "Hey, this way to the fence,"
and with like everything spelled wrong.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
like a
The witch has
child
no-
wrote it.
Yeah, the witch has no education, or Lane wrote it and he has no education.
Well, I don't think he had an education anyway.
No. So then when they see the house, this is where I was talking about earlier when we first started this. Lisa was like so for everything. At this point, James wants to go in. Lisa, zero interest of going in the house. And then like, another
Rightfully so, by
splitting
the
up.
way.
Oh yeah, rightfully so. And James is like, I have to go in to see if Heather's in here. And he goes in, and then we get
Okay.
like 5 minutes of him in there.
Okay, hold on a second. So he has to go in there because Heather might be in there. There's no lights on. It looked like no one lived there for 50 years, and he thinks she's just hanging around there.
That's
Like-
the thing I can't get
Like
over.
it's so stupid. It just
Yeah.
like, what does he think he's gonna find? Like, would he prefer to see her dead corpse that's been rotting there for 17 years? Like, is that what he's looking for?
like Psycho,
it really-
mother. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes no sense why he's so anxious to go in there thinking that she's in this house when it looks like no one's been living there for 50 years.
I know. I don't know how
Okay.
That's the thing
Okay.
I can't fathom in the whole beginning of the movie. There should have been another reason that he got drugged there, or I'd rather it be more unsuspecting kids. Just the relation, like they were just thrill seekers that loved scary things. Like if they did like a ghost like reality show, went out to those woods, that would be more plausible. But
Or he
17
says,
years.
No, he says, you know what? I want to go to see the place where my sister went missing.
Oh.
Fine. Not
Yeah.
that you're looking for her,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
want to see, like her, like what she's, whatever. I'm okay with that. But the fact that he's looking for her 17 years later in a house that no one's living in, like at this point, like, give me a break.
Yeah.
Especially when once you see the house. Like if he thinks there's hope there that maybe she's living, but you finally get to the house and you know she's not in there. And if she is,
Oh, I know.
she's not alive. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think I'd want to see her at this point. Like, you know, like I'm afraid what I'm going to find.
Yeah, but no, he's all for it. He goes right in. And I messed up before because Peter is in this house. We see Peter for a second. We don't see Ashley in the house at all.
Right.
But Peter's staring at the wall. And he's
Yes,
like,
correct.
James is like, Peter, what are you doing? And at that point, he goes, Heather, is that you? And then he's thinking, you know what? Sister I haven't seen in 17 years. She's going to run away from me. Because he starts chasing something or someone. Why would he think that? And then he even looks under the bed.
Well, maybe at this point, though, the witch, just like in the first movie, the witch is making them crazy. So.
Then we see a witch. Then we see, you know, I forgot. We see a non-Slender Man witch because they do the scene that I love in movies when the flashlight's dying. And
Yeah.
And then you see a figure for like really like a frame, and you see like a woman, but then it goes away. Oh my god, dude!
But so is Slender Man the same person you see in the flashlight, or are there multiple?
No,
creatures
those are
that...
two different. I mean, Slender Man is like maybe what Lane is trying to work up to. Maybe that's like the job you get when you don't have to recruit anymore. You can be Slender Man.
All right, because I mean, again, that doesn't make sense. So there's multiple things living there.
Yeah, they're all living together. It's like real world. It's like paranormal real world.
All right.
Yeah, no, that makes no sense. But yeah,
okay,
we get him running around, and then out of nowhere, right? He runs into a room, and then he's gone. We don't see him, right? Because he gets stuck.
Correct.
What does he get stuck in? A room, right? Oh, the door gets locked, right?
The door gets locked. They can't get out.
That's what it was. Yeah. Jeez. Could you imagine that scenario, like being in a friggin' oh my god.
Wait. Imagine that scenario, but the fact that again you see a ghost or a creature in the flashlight.
No, I know that.
That one is okay, but again, locked in a room. Oh, that's like horrible.
I'm saying when you compound everything together, I mean, like obviously you're scared enough because that witch is there, but the fact that you're stuck in a room in this house, even though I think at this point you got it in the back of your head, think I'm not getting out of this house alive.
Okay, the minute you walk in that house and you start hearing things and seeing something in the flashlight or whatever, you know you're not leaving. You know,
or you see your friend,
like
or you see your friend looking at the wall.
Yeah, staring at your wall. Yeah, you know you're not getting out. So, and again, like, is he? See, the wall staring gets me too, because if you don't turn away from the wall, you can just stand there forever, and like the witch will never get you.
Why wouldn't you do this?
Yeah, why don't you? It's like Medusa, you right? You don't look at Medusa. As long as you close your eyes, you're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we'll go into what tricks them, which makes zero sense that you get tricked that way. But I don't know how that really happens.
Well, because the other one should have said something.
Well, he did say something. They told him.
It wasn't. No. When they get tricked. Oh,
we'll get into it, and we'll get into it.
Okay.
We're only like a couple minutes out. So then from there, this is when Lisa is in the woods, and she's just like yelling people's names. And then we see the Slender Man creepy naked figure peeping. And then that's what causes her to say, like, shit, I guess I have to run into this house. That was her. That was how she got forced into the house. And dude, when Lane pops out of nowhere and he looks like it's been, like you said,
like a
years.
grown man. Yeah, like a grown man.
He looks so different. And the first thing he does, he doesn't really say much. He knocks her out.
And why is he there? Like, why is he there? Like, there's too much with him throughout this whole movie. Like, without an explanation.
Yeah, if he worked for the witch, then that makes sense. Like, if when he's kicking her to the hole and he says it's either you or me, I want to live.
That's clearly he's working for the witch then.
Yeah, then that's all we need to know. But there has to be that they're like. That must have been something they thought about, I would think. Because there's too much. The fact that he throws her into that hole and locks it, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then you get my actual nightmare of having to crawl through a pipe that your body barely fits into. That is like the... And she gets stuck too, man. I felt that watching that. Like, that feeling of being stuck and not being able to move. And then she gets through it, and she like breaks
she gets through it because she hears something behind her.
Oh, I know.
That kind of motivates her to move.
But you hear another like bone breaking because she's probably thrown something through. Then she has to go through another pipe for like a little bit. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Why are
man.
there pipes in the house?
I
like
don't
that?
know. Was that the old plumbing giant pipes?
They're like Mario pipes.
They're huge. Where are they going? You're right. Oh my God. So then at this point, I'm like, where's James? Like, I know she wasn't in there that long, but I'm thinking it's a small house. This is like Halloween or any horror movie. They must hear
it's a very small house. So
Yeah.
how long is she going for? Yeah.
And she's going underground. So how big is the house?
Well, again, there could be time jumps. You don't know. I mean,
oh yeah. So it is like Mario. She got to the end of it and she warped back to World 1. Is that
well, it would have been funny if she came out. She saw the one room. She's like, and she turned around, went another way, and
that would have been good. But yeah, it makes no sense. Then she finds another tunnel. So she goes through 2 tunnels. She finds another tunnel by breaking through.
So there's 3 tunnels in this small house.
Yeah, that are not going in circles. They're all going away from something. But when she finds the one and she breaks it and she's getting ready to go into it, and then Lane pops out of nowhere and she stabs him in the throat, and she kills him, and I'm like, how did he get there? So that's what made no sense too.
Oh, well, there's tunnels.
He went, there's good tunnels and bad tunnels.
He used the tunnel. That's why, you know what? Maybe that's what Jason uses, because Jason's always everywhere. Instead of warping, maybe it's tunnels.
Yeah, and besides Manhattan where he teleports, and all the other ones he uses tunnels that are set up.
But again, yes, she kills Lane. But again, why is Lane there? Like that, it's cool that he's there, and like if there was an explanation, great. But there was no explanation, and it just okay. All right.
But when we do see that again, I don't think that it looks great, but I think still seeing that and the fear in Lisa's eyes when she looks over and she sees the Slender thing, again, perfect timing for a $5 million budget. And you don't want to show too much if you can invoke fear. And obviously enough people told other people to see this movie because it made 50 million. But when you see the Slender Man for like a second, and then she runs.
Quick second. I had to rewind it to see what I was looking at because it was so fast.
Was there?
Well, I knew it was some creature, but I wanted to see what it looked like, and it's very quick.
Oh my God! But then she runs into a room when she's running away. Boom, James. So it's her and James, and there's these weird bright lights coming from outside, which makes sense for like aliens, right? Because they're like kind of like strobing in.
Yeah.
But when his strategy that he says, which is like a callback to the first movie that we didn't know about as an audience, was, hey, if you look away from the witch, it can't kill you. So this is what they're attempting to do, is to like stare at the wall.
It would make more sense if he found a note that said that or something. Like, I mean, but how does he know that you, because at what, like, if he saw the witch at once, he should be dead, right? So one, how does he know the witch is there to face the wall? And how does he know that it is the witch to face the wall? Could be the Slender Man. Like, so like, again, the explanation of why that if you face the wall makes no sense that they would know that.
Yeah, and we saw him look at the witch in the room when the lightning bolt flashed, and he looked.
Right.
Yeah, so that makes no sense. But I love this part in the sense of how they got tricked. So he says a line that, Heather, is that you? And that's when he turns and he gets ripped away. And then Lisa's like, just stare at the wall, just stare at the wall. And she's just staring and staring and staring. And then the same line gets said. So she gets tricked on, Heather, I can't believe it's you. And then she turns and then she's gone.
And that's it.
But she did, the one thing I thought she did was really cool is when she is using the camcorder before she dies. She I'm sorry. She didn't fall for him saying, Heather, I can't believe it's you. It's a line he said right there when they met for the first time. Like in the house.
Oh, right, you're right.
Lisa, I'm so sorry.
Right, I'm still.
But it was the same line again.
Yeah.
And it tricked her. But I did like the fact that she did like I guess she didn't see the witch in the camcorder, but I guess that wouldn't count because you're not really looking. Because couldn't people in the old lore look at Medusa in a mirror? Right? Wasn't that a thing?
Correct. You can.
Yeah. Okay.
You can. Right. Because you're not looking directly at her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But the witch is not Medusa.
Yeah, I know.
So
Maybe it is. It's a
that
house
is true.
where 7 mythical creatures throughout history come together. It's like real world.
So we have
real
Slender
world.
Man, a witch, and Medusa so far.
Yeah, werewolf.
Okay, a werewolf, and a Dracula that has no genitals.
No genitalia at all. But yeah, so that is Finn. That's the end of Blair Witch 2016. I must say, this is a sequel that this is the shortest notes I ever had in a sequel. And I love that we were able to go off on so many tangents.
Well, if we didn't, the podcast would probably be only 30 minutes because
Really?
this literally is the shortest amount of notes I've taken also because there really was impossible to take notes on this movie. And I think the tangents, I mean, we're at almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I thought we were only going to get like a quick, like 45, 50 minutes out of this one. So.
Yeah, I think the one thing that was obviously like we love going off on tangents and saying silly things and stuff like that. But I think the bulk of it was I think we did have an idea of how this movie would have made more sense. Maybe there's people like, hey, you watch this movie, you love it, man, good for you. I'm not saying I hated the movie. I wouldn't.
Well, I'm
watch
saying
it.
I hated it.
Well,
I'm saying I hated it.
But I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. But if that was the story that we talked about, that
I
would
wouldn't
be a
hate it
hook.
as much.
Yeah, because it would be a hook for me to watch it again to be like, oh my God,
Correct.
You know what? There was something in this house. There could have been like clues that they could have left for us as the watcher to rewatch.
Right.
Like the game did and like so many other movies.
So are you saying that you recommend this movie?
I would recommend it for you to watch it for the first time, just like Blood Fist 5. I would want somebody to watch it to see if they come to the same realization us. Does Lane work for the witch?
No, the difference is though, Blood Fist 5 though, like it does answer questions. This doesn't answer any questions at all.
Is true.
There's not one resolution in this movie at all. Nothing. There's not one. So, you know, I'd be satisfied. Just tell me one thing. Tell me one thing. Tell me where they're getting, when they're getting stuck in the sky, where are they going?
Where are they
Just
going?
one thing.
Yeah.
And but it's not. So like, there's just too many things that are up in the air. Blood Fist, we agree that this is what happened and yeah, it all makes sense. But this, nothing makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. Too many question marks. So, maybe if you want to watch it,
Ugh.
I don't know. It is cool to see times when directors, because the fact that this guy 6-7 years later is the guy that's helming the Godzilla movies, I'm sure those have like $4 million budgets, which is kind of crazy for him. It's got to be like, wow, I made this movie in secret for $5 million. And now I'm doing one of the biggest.
How do you know that maybe he purposely left this off his resume so he can get the Godzilla job? And now you're like basically outing him because if they knew that he made this movie, they probably wouldn't have hired him for Godzilla.
Hey Adam, can you come in our office? We're listening to this little podcast, The Good, the Bad, and the Sequel. And they talked about that you did that.
Can you tell us something about Blair Witch? Do you have anything to tell us about Blair Witch?
Oh yeah, when I was doing it, I wasn't really trying that hard. Oh, okay, makes sense. Go back to Godzilla. Tell Kong we said hi. No, I agree. No, I agree. Like, I'm not saying that, but a movie like this, when it comes to like a director of it, it's just that it's so much. It's like Halloween Resurrection. There's so much of the other cameras that aren't controlled by a director. You're like trying to get the actors to be camera. You know what I mean? Like, they're working the camera in a sense because it's on their face in some of those shots. I don't know.
I know. All right.
Yeah, but we got back to horror. Our first found footage horror movie. So our next sequel will announce next week. We have a really special bonus episode, which is super special for us. Like when we started this podcast, there's so many people in our movie watching from when we were kids that are like so. Like they're so pivotal to our movie watching experience. We remember those people forever. And Mark Holton, special bonus that we're gonna do. You know him as
We already
Chubby.
covered his sequel. We already covered
the only sequel. Oh, 2 sequels he was in: Leprechaun Returns and Teen Wolf 2.
Teen Wolf 2.
But man, Chubby and Teen Wolf, Francis and Pee Wee. Those are like 2 iconic characters that throughout my life. When you saw him in Seinfeld. On the Bobcat episode, the when Jerry explains he hasn't vomited since like 1979, that is when I saw him in that, I said, "Oh my God, it's Francis." Or when I saw his movie cover for Gacy, which we talked about him playing, you know, one of the biggest serial killers in history, John Wayne Gacy, I remember seeing that at the video store and saying, "Oh my god, it's Chubby from Teen Wolf." So it's so crazy when people do these movies and they're so pivotal to our childhoods, and even Leprechaun and Enrico Palazzo, like so many of these lines that he has in roles. A League of Their Own, he plays the little kid all grown up, like so much. So that'll be really neat. And if you're in Jersey, he's going to be in New Jersey Labor Day weekend, Friday, Saturday. He will be at it's Leadfest, the 40th anniversary. It's the greatest oldies party. There'll be a bunch of cool cars, and he's going to be there. There's going to be music and stuff, things for kids. So I'm going to take my family there and meet Mark Holton. So you should too. I'll make sure to put in the episode notes so you check it out, but it's just leadfest.com. Everything's on there. So yeah, next week, Mark Holton, going to be a lot of fun. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only. And don't forget to check out our website, Sequels Only.
Good night.